So, I was reading about this speech by the head of MI5, Ken McCallum. He's talking about a staggering rise in assassination attempts and sabotage by Russia and Iran.
Wow, that's pretty serious. I hadn't heard about that. What's the story?
Absolutely. And it's not just about physical attacks. There's also the issue of disinformation and propaganda, which can be just as damaging.
That's true. It's hard to know what to believe anymore. We're bombarded with information from all sides, and it's difficult to separate fact from fiction.
That's why it's so important to be critical of the information we consume and to rely on credible sources. But it's also important to remember that we can't let fear paralyze us.
You're right. We need to be vigilant, but we also need to stay informed and engaged. We can't let these threats dictate our lives.
Exactly. We need to be aware of the dangers, but we also need to remember that we have the power to resist them. We can choose to stand up for our values and to fight for a better future.
That's a good way to put it. We can't let fear win. We need to be strong and resilient in the face of these challenges.
I think that's a good place to end this conversation. It's a lot to think about, but it's important to stay informed and engaged. We need to be aware of the threats, but we also need to remember that we have the power to overcome them.
I agree. Thanks for sharing your insights. It's been a fascinating conversation.
Well, he says they're recruiting criminals to do their dirty work. They're targeting Iranians abroad who oppose the regime, but there's a risk that it could expand to other targets in the UK.
That's scary. I mean, we've seen this kind of thing before with Russian interference in elections and cyber attacks, but this is a whole new level of aggression.
Exactly. And it's not just Iran. He also mentioned Russia's military intelligence agency trying to create mayhem on the streets of Britain. They're using arson, sabotage, you name it.
It's like a real-life spy thriller. I wonder what they're hoping to achieve with all this.
That's the million-dollar question. It's probably a combination of things: destabilizing the UK, weakening its alliances, and maybe even trying to influence public opinion.
It's definitely a worrying trend. I mean, we're already dealing with the rise of extremism and terrorism, and now we have these state-backed threats on top of that.
It's a complex and interconnected threat environment, as he put it. And it's not just the UK. Germany and Sweden are also seeing similar activity from Russia and Iran.
It's a global problem. I guess it's a reminder that we're living in a world where the lines between war and peace are becoming increasingly blurred.